Hi, and welcome back to Michal Myers. I'm Ariadna,
And I'm Dylan.
and it's Halloween 2020.
Finally,
We're here. Happy Halloween.
happy Halloween, everyone.
Today's a super special episode. It's not Friday, obviously, so it is a super Saturday. Finally, Halloween's on a Saturday, and isn't it like a full moon or something?
Yes.
Freaking
Wait,
2020. But I
one
know.
good thing we got.
So we decided to make it extra special, and we paired up with Sam from Sam So Spooky, and she's here with us. Hi, Sam.
Hi.
How are you? Happy Halloween.
I'm good. Happy Halloween.
We're super excited to have you here because we started talking to each other because of Halloween, the franchise.
Yes.
Because you started watching it recently, and we all know it's Dylan's favorite. We understand that's why we're Michal Myers with Myers from Michael Myers. So you can see the costumes as well at some point of today and some point of our feed because he does have a Michael Myers suit costume, I guess. I say suit because of like what he's wearing. Actually, coveralls. Thank you. And so super excited to talk everything Halloween franchise. From how many movies are there? 8, 9,
10.
10?
No, I want to say 12 or 13.
You guys are the Halloween franchise fans.
I'm going to grab my list. I have it right next to me. I'm going to grab it.
Oh, Rob Zombie. I'm pretty sure it's just 10.
But we have another one coming out either 2021 or 2022.
We have 2 coming out, but those don't count yet.
Exactly. We haven't seen those. So they're huge Halloween fans for different reasons or the same reasons. Their list is a little bit different, and we just decided to like put 2 and 2 together. Stay tuned till the very end, of course, for 2 things. One, we do have a Halloween lightning round because it is Halloween, so we talk about costumes and like fun Halloween stuff, not the franchise, but the actual holiday that it is today for us. And also we can stay tuned for the 13 entries for the next giveaway book.
Excellent.
That we did talk about yesterday, because yesterday we talked about Halloween 1978. That was your favorite movie.
Yes.
So if you want to just listen about that movie in particular, stay tuned, like go listen to that one basically. But for now, this is the whole franchise with Sam. All right. Yes. So my first question is, well, the first one is very obvious. When did you watch Halloween, or when did you start watching Halloween, the franchise?
So I started, I want to say about a month or a month and a half ago. It was part of my horror movie quest, which is, if you guys don't know what my horror movie quest is, it's basically where I go through and I watch any horror movie that I have never seen at all. I've been watching horror movies since a kid, but there's still plenty of classics that I never saw, or like I didn't watch like the full franchise. So basically with Halloween around the corner this year in quarantine, I was like, I'm gonna watch every single Halloween movie.
Nice. I love that. I love that so
quest. Much. I love how you call it quest. I think it's so cute. And so you literally just started watching them for the first time. Did you watch Halloween, any of the Halloweens? I don't know how to like ask that. When you were younger, or is this your first time ever for any of them?
Well, I watched part of 1978, the first one, in one of my horror classes in college, because he showed like a few clips, because he was using it for his lecture one day, but I never watched the full first movie or any of the others.
Okay.
That sounds like a fun class. Not for me, but for you two. Horror
Great
class? That's amazing.
It was super cool.
So let's jump right in. I love looking at your list because I love how everyone has their own point of view, their own perspective of the franchise, or any franchise for that matter. And you started your list with H2O.
Yes, I did.
I am also a big fan of H2O, but why is that number 1 for you?
That, I put it in the number 1 spot for 2 main reasons. Reason number 1 being the way it made me feel. So a lot of the movies are kind of, in my ranking, are how did I feel watching them? And number 1 was the most exciting for me. Like from like the beginning to start, like the start and the end of that movie, I was just like on the edge of my seat. It was one of those movies where I was stress eating like my popcorn, like, you know, when you're staring at the screen, you're just shoveling food in your mouth because you're so invested. That's what was happening. And it got me just so excited. I was so interested in it, and especially because I built it up. I had literally watched every Halloween movie back to back before H2O. And I can only imagine how people felt seeing it in theaters. You know, everyone who waited 20 years to watch it versus I went from it, you know, one night to the next. And reason number 2 being that it gave me a similar nostalgic feel that Scream did. And Scream came out like 2 years before this film. So that was a huge thing for me too.
I completely agree with everything you just said. I mean, I thought H2O, it cleans the slate. We'll talk about it later, but it cleans the slate of all the other sequels. It got rid of Jamie, and it went right to 20 years later. Where was Michael between all this? We don't know. I think there are comics actually that
Wow.
where he went. Yeah, Halloween comics are actually pretty expensive when you look on eBay.
I believe it.
But H2O, they brought back Jamie Lee. I loved her son. I thought her son was a great character.
Oh, and of course, he's 90s heartthrob, Josh Hartnett, you know, so of course.
Oh my god. I had no idea. I haven't seen those yet, so of course.
I was like, really? Josh Hartnett?
Wow. Okay, I would not picture him at all for like a horror movie.
You know what you'll be surprised to find is LL Cool J's in the movie.
Took the words right out of my mouth. You think that's a shocker? LL Cool J as the cool security guard. Go out.
Which movie is it? Which one is
Halloween H2O.
Oh, okay.
Laurie is the director of a private high school.
Yeah, she's like the headmistress of a school in California, and she is in the witness protection program. So you know it's Laurie, but she's going by a different name.
Well, you know it's Laurie because the same actress, obviously.
Yes.
Like, that's
Oh my god, and can we talk about her mom having a cameo in the film and saying the original Halloween line?
I just watched that the other night, and it was wonderful.
Yes, it's so good. See, there's just so many reasons to love H2O. And then the ending was one of those endings, like, you know when you saw all the Marvel films and you got to Endgame and you were just like, yeah, that's how the end of H2O felt for me.
Okay, that's good to know. That's interesting because I had no idea H2O was the last one then. Well,
I mean, when you're like me and you don't count what happened after it, yes, it is the last one. Resurrection does not count. It doesn't exist.
We'll get there when we get there on the list. But before that, so H2O, those aside.
H2O is the last. It goes Halloween 1, Halloween 2, Halloween H2O.
Oh, okay.
And we'll also talk about this later in the podcast, but there are many different story arcs throughout Halloween. There's Halloween 1 and 2, Halloween 1 and 2 just by themselves. Then there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Not 3, sorry. 1, 2, 4, and 5. And yeah, they really rebooted it a lot.
So my question, and this is why we have this podcast, because you are a true horror fan and I'm not, so people who are like me can understand and maybe dive into a new movie like this one. Going back to H2O, so like from Halloween 2 to Halloween H2O, it was like you said, like Sam said, like 20 years.
Yeah, exactly 20 years.
Exactly 20 years. That's more than Scream.
Well, because it started in 78 and this one was released in 98, so Halloween H2O.
Was that the one that we saw in theaters? That's the first movie I saw?
No, that's 2018. And in perfect transition, your second favorite Halloween movie.
Yes, I love 2018. Oh my god. So this one is Laurie's back again, obviously. Storyline's a little bit different, where rather than Laurie ever going to like a mental institution or going to California or any of that, this would basically be where after her first incident with Michael in the first 2 movies, she went full on like doomsday prepper, basically made her entire house a booby trap and was ready for Michael to come back all these years. And it turns out like we get rid of the initial, her first daughter, Jamie, we get rid of the fact she had a son in H2O. This is totally different timeline, but I love watching Laurie come back and kick ass like that. It was awesome.
it was definitely back to formula. I mean, after Rob Zombie's movies and Resurrection, they had 3 strikes and everyone hated them. They got 2 diehard fans of the franchise who actually care about Halloween, like you said, and to start over. And Halloween 2 is not with it. It's just Halloween 1 and Halloween 2018. Because Halloween 2, we revealed that Michael and Laurie are brother and sister.
True.
Did you like that they got rid of that?
I didn't really care either way about the brother-sister thing. Like, it was neither here nor there for me, because every movie treated it differently. So then it just kind of became neither here nor there for me. As long as, you know, Laurie was out there kicking ass, that's what I liked.
I did watch that one in the theaters with him when it came out, and I appreciate that because I'm also a big fan. How can I not be of like women kicking ass? And I was like, she's so cool. I love how it ended, and I love that we watched the trailer. Of course, we did on our DTV. You can see a react on our YouTube as well. You can see a react of like the first time we watched the trailer, and it was so good. Like 30 seconds, 20 seconds. I don't know.
Are you excited?
Excited for the next one?
Halloween Kills.
Yes. Especially because now I feel all caught up. and now I feel like invested. I feel super invested, and I can start collecting more Halloween things. Because I'm one of those people too who like, I don't like buying a shirt or a mug or anything like that until I've watched the movie or the show. Or like listen to the band. I have to know what it is before I have it. And now I'm like, feel like a Halloween pro now, so.
And you love Halloween, that's why we did the episode as well. Definitely. Oh my god. What's third on her list?
Well, first, before we go on, would you say that you preferred what happened to Laurie, like her becoming the headmistress rather than her becoming a hermit badass? I mean, she goes down 2 very different paths in these 2 story arcs.
Yeah.
I liked her as the headmistress. I liked the fact that Michael, though, haunted her. I feel like in 2018, Michael kind of did beat her. Like she was constantly afraid. Yes.
So between the 2, if I was to go from a more logical perspective, which I'm a very logical person, so a very analytical mind, the most likely route, and the route that I like because it's also likely, is that she would go into the witness protection program. She would try to start her life over. She would move somewhere else, you know, and try and get her life together, and she has PTSD. That's likely, right? Versus this other scenario where she becomes this, you know, hermit doomsday prepper who is kind of a little bit cut off from her family and you know, even loses her family for that reason, and waits all this time for Michael. Like, I like the idea of her trying to separate herself from him versus like, I'm gonna wait the rest of my life for him, even if she doesn't know where he is.
Agreed. I definitely preferred the headmistress. I like the fact that she actually had a good life, all things considered. She had a son who is just like her, and I love him for that. 2018, I just felt very sorry for her. Like, she just lost complete control, and like you said, she was just waiting for Michael.
Yes.
And
but I will say too, on that same note, that even though 2018 is the extreme version, I do like that in the H2O one, that when after all this PTSD, after all this time thinking he's going to come for her, he does show up, she's ready. And it's also part of a defensive mama mode, which you get a little bit of in 2018, but like, this is like, I was ready for this. Like, I'm going to protect my son. I'm going to protect my school. You can't hurt me now. I was ready for you.
See, you're making me want to watch that one.
H2O is
like a lot.
It's not, I don't want to disrespect H2O. It's not like, I feel like 2018 was a little bit more intense.
Okay.
Yes.
Taking nothing away from H2O, but H2O was a little bit more, it felt more like 78. Like it had like that classic feel to it. It also opens with the same song that Halloween 2 ended with. So they kind of had that nice little detail of the Mr. Sandman song, which was wonderful.
Yes, for sure.
Moving right along, your number 3 is a tie between number 1 and number 2, because you said, I think in your email, it's a continuation of the story.
Yeah, because I love, and I haven't really seen this a lot before, but number 2 just literally picked right up off where first one ended. And at the time, it came out like a year later. But as someone who just watched it back to back, it felt like I was just watching like the next episode of a show.
Yep.
Like it just continued right off the end. Felt like they filmed it in the same night.
Did you like that?
Yeah. Huh? What was the question?
Oh, I was asking, did you like the fact that it happened right after the other?
Yeah, so I like that it continued off like that because it felt more like I like continuity in a story.
Mm-hmm.
I love continuity. So that's why I love that.
Okay. I mean, if you had to pry them apart, which one would you put on top? If you had to.
Number 1, obviously.
I mean, I completely understand that, but for me, though number 1 is my favorite, I love Halloween 2. I think it's so slow with her in the hospital. She's on drugs. She can barely move, and it's just Michael slowly taking everyone out. I love Halloween 2. I thought it was just so unique. I loved it.
I do like the uniqueness of it, like the being trapped in a hospital, and like you said, he's slowly taking people out, and you're kind of freaking out yourself because Laurie keeps going in and out because of the drugs. So you're like, oh my God, Laurie, get it together. Hello, Laurie. But at the same time, I struggle with slow horror movies. And It depends on what the type of horror movie is, whether it's like more thriller, paranormal, depends on what it is. But I am a very like, brah person. Like, I want action, brah.
Did you it's just your first 2 horror movies, H2O in 2018, neither of them had Dr. Loomis. I mean, that's big because Dr. Loomis for me is he is just as important as Michael. I love Dr. Loomis.
True. I do love Dr. Loomis a lot. But I will point out that in 2018, we have that like other therapist guy that they introduced who was like, an assistant to Loomis. And that, I'm not going to say what it is, but the twist with him, I was like, what? I didn't see that coming.
I didn't like that twist. I thought that was just lazy. I mean, I like the fact, I don't know how they did it, but they actually got someone to either sound like Dr. Loomis, Donald Pleasance, but they gave him like, you had a flashback sequence about what he wanted them to do with Michael. Yeah. Like burn the body, burn it, and then fucking scatter the ashes, like just be done with it. But so you like Dr. Sartain?
I actually forget his name, but I kind of like the idea of him wanting to not just understand Michael, but then through that, he wanted to become Michael. Like, I think that could have made a wonderful standalone movie in itself.
Oh, and just so you know, our podcast is talk about death, spoilers, it's all good.
Okay. I'm like over here trying to avoid spoiling anything for everybody.
We always have a disclaimer, and
yeah, exactly.
It's all spoilers.
Okay, great.
But when he put on Michael's mask, I was like, oh no. Did not like.
The way he talked about it too, like, he was like, I want to understand what it feels like. And I was like, where are you going with this, man? And just like the shot, okay, because I don't know if you guys know this about me too, but I was a film major in college. And so I also, when I view these movies, I look at how they do them cinematically as well. And that shot of her stuck in the backseat of the car, watching through that fence that she can't get out of, the therapist guy stand up in front of the headlights with the mask on. Oh my God, that was so my heart. Like, that's so good.
Only Michael can wear his mask. I'm sorry. I'm happy it was wonderful from like a cinematography point of view, but I'm like, no, that's not your mask. Like, because at first I'm like, wait, did they just kill Michael? Is he the new bad guy? Like, and Michael quickly curb stomped him, which, thank you, Michael.
Which I think people probably wanted to happen. So, and that's probably why they did that in the movies. You know, no one wants to have Michael replaced.
Yeah.
You can't replace Michael.
Exactly.
Halloween 3 sure as hell did.
I was gonna say Halloween 3.
Is that the one next on your list, actually, or no?
No, on her list we are to Jamie Lloyd, Halloween 4 and 5.
Yeah, because your 4th and 5th spots are actually 4 and 5. So let's talk about those going down your list, and then we can go into
for sure. Let's talk about Jamie Lloyd.
I love Jamie Lloyd. I thought actually looking back on it, like, wow, the 80s were a special time. Michael Myers is hunting his 8-year-old niece. Like, Jesus.
Yeah.
And he gets close and like he really terrorizes her. I mean, I really like 4. 5, I don't hate it. I like it fine enough.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll watch it this year, but I love Halloween 4. I thought it really just it's so great. Very reminiscent of 78 for me. It felt very classic. How do you feel about 4 and 5 and all of Jamie Lloyd?
So I really like Jamie Lloyd. I think that it was a very great way to continue the story when you couldn't get certain actors and actresses back. Because, you know, that's a situation you have to consider too, is that sometimes if you can't get the original actress back, then what are you going to do with your story? And so this was a great way to be like, okay, well, she supposedly died in a car accident, leaving behind her daughter, and now Michael is after her daughter. And the actress herself did an amazing job for being a little girl. Danielle Harris did an amazing job. And I want to touch on, too, that there's this interesting aspect to her story where she's not only being stalked by Michael, but she has a psychic connection to Michael.
Yep.
So I had touched on this a little while ago when I recently watched the Poltergeist movies and I rewatched Amityville Horror. This appears in horror movies a lot, this idea that little girls are always psychic. And so this was this little interesting twist where she knows Michael's coming for her because she's connected to him. I don't know. What did you guys think about that?
I liked it. I mean, I think the psychic connection was Halloween 5 because that's when she can't talk.
But didn't they start introducing it in 4, like a little bit?
I mean,
she's having like the nightmares about him, and which are amazing. I absolutely these are terrifying nightmares. The poor child, but I really liked just one Jamie Lloyd. I think that actress Danielle Harris, all-time great child actor. I mean, not many child actors could have really pulled off. She was the lead, and she was a child being hunted by Michael Myers. That's asking a lot of a child. I thought her sister I really liked.
Oh yeah, her stepsister Rachel.
I thought she did a phenomenal job. I loved having Dr. Loomis back. Like, he's just not giving up. Like,
don't you just feel bad for Loomis? You're like, man, you just every year you have to go out and find this guy.
And no one listens to him. Like, every time they want to move him, he's like, don't do it. And they move him. Michael escapes, and he's like, why didn't you listen?
No one knows him better but me.
I mean, this is one of my favorite performances by Donald Pleasance because I love this Loomis. He has a cane. He is beat to hell. He's scarred, and he's still hunting Michael.
Yeah.
But like you were saying with the psychic connection, I liked it. I liked how in Halloween 5, Michael stops. Michael's about to kill her, and she's like, "Uncle."
Yeah.
And Michael actually stops, and then he flips out, puts his mask on. It's like, "You little bitch!" Like, I had
You
to
know what
kill
I
you.
realized in retrospect about that scene too is, I mean, even though she says uncle, he's looking at a little girl. And I think in the back of Michael's mind, he's seeing, especially because it's his sister's daughter, but he's seeing his little sister.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know, he just has this craving for them.
I like that. He just does have a craving.
Yes.
That's insane.
It is.
It really
so
is.
good, though.
Every time he tells me the plot of the story, I'm like, what? What's happening? His
Which-
niece?
With Jamie Lloyd, too, like, the end of 4, beautiful. The fact that she essentially becomes Michael. It makes you think she's going to be Michael, essentially. But she has the clown costume that she picked out, which is what Michael's wearing in the very first film, 1978. And then she, at the very end of the film, you think she's safe, everything's fine. And then she stabs her mom. And she's standing at the top of the stairs in the clown costume with the blood on the scissors. And everyone's just like,
Dr. Loomis tries to shoot her.
Yeah.
No.
And again, he's like, I have to stop it in its tracks.
That, I think, is really when like the whole connection, they started playing around with that. I mean, and then Halloween 5 is a lot about the connection. What did you think of the ending of 5?
Remind me again how 5 ended. I remember there was Tina dies, and then what happened to Jeannie again at the very end of 5?
Michael is arrested. He's brought to the prison.
Right. And the prison blows up, and then that creepy cult guy, you don't know he's a cult guy, but you just see him throughout 5, just randomly appearing in different scenes, supposedly takes Michael, and Jamie is distraught. I didn't like it. Because it's just like, you thought you finally had him, but then at the same time it makes sense. You can't just put Michael in a prison. Like, he was locked up for so many years in a mental institution. There's very strict rules about moving him around, and you just put him in a common local prison like anybody else. So, of course, if somebody didn't break him out, he would have gotten out very quickly on his own. But I don't like the fact that, you know, the guy broke him out and was going to use him for purposes, and just it ends with that. I have mixed feelings.
I mean, I have I think it was one of the writers who came out and said, like you were saying, like the Man in Black, you see him at random points throughout the movie, and one of the writers said, "Yeah, we had no idea who he was. We were just kind of making it up as we were going along. Like, we were gonna like talk about it in 6.
Oh my God!
We had no idea who broke out Michael, this mysterious guy that you kept cutting to. Yeah, we had no idea."
Wow, I didn't know that.
The Halloween movies are plagued with like writers against the studio. Like, it, I read it on the internet, so it must be true. But one of the writers for Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, that movie we're about to talk about it, was so plagued with like the studio was getting involved and the writers were trying to do something. There's a director's cut of Halloween 6 about what they were trying to do. It was just rewrites after rewrites. And the writer was so pissed and so angry, he named the movie The Curse of Michael Myers, because he's like, this movie's a goddamn curse.
That makes a lot of sense. I actually like knowing that extra tidbit now, especially considering my feelings about that movie. But I'm sure you guys want to go into what's next on the list.
Of course. So now we're kind of getting, at least for me, with the exception of one movie, we're getting into the Halloween movies. I'm very excited to hear if you feel that same way, or... So the very next on your list, if I can read properly, is Halloween.
So we did the 4 and 5.
Yeah, Halloween 4 and 5, which is Halloween Resurrection.
Yes.
Please explain to me why you like this movie.
So, I like this movie because, first of all, it's so funny. It is so funny. Okay, you got
Bad
busted
adjective.
lines.
I don't want my Halloween to be funny. It's not, no.
But it's also not just funny in the sense that his lines are hilarious, but it's funny because of its over the topness. Like, it's a movie you can make fun of in that way. It's just, and that's hilarious to me. And he had all the best lines in the film. Like, I was cracking up. Am I allowed to curse on here?
Yes, of course.
Okay, the fact that most of his lines were like, trick or treat, motherfucker, like, that's so great. But also the biggest reason I probably like this film is because when you think about the year it came out, let me see, 2002, right? So we're just coming out of the 90s. We're coming into the early 2000s. Us 90s kids are seeing technology go so quickly in advancements, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything is just all the technological age. Everything's changing so fast. Cell phones, computers, iPad, live stream. And this movie, I think, it's not just a Halloween movie. It's a commentary on what is happening socially and culturally in our world. And the fact that they could combine it with Michael Myers, I think, is a beautiful thing. So here's this idea that now that everything is so easily available to us, you know, that Michael Myers could kill people on live TV and everyone just thinks it's a prank or a movie. And that's even more true today in 2020
Indeed.
than it was in 2002, because everything can be edited and Photoshop and staged. And back then, you know, it was just starting and people still thought that. And you combine that with the fact that they're all trapped in a house with all these cameras. This is really happening and nobody realizes that. And it also leads to technology being a good thing. So here the commentary is technology is bad. It's taking over everything is bad. But also technology is good because technology can save her. You know, he through his live stream TV, he's typing and messaging her and he's telling her where Michael is and he's trying to guide her out of the house to safety. But, you know, also, again, that brings me back to the fact that technology is bad because you never know who you're talking to. She's essentially dating this guy and she's in college and he's a junior in high school. And they don't really elaborate on that fact, but it's very obvious that, you know, you don't know who you're talking to on the internet, which her friend points out at one point. She says, you could be talking to a 60-year-old man or something like that, and you wouldn't know. But she's talking to a junior in high school. So yes, it's that. That is why I put Resurrection up in one of the higher spots, is because I love the commentary on technology.
See, for me, that's completely interesting because I wouldn't have any idea about any of this at all because I know Dylan doesn't like it at all for what it is, which he'll tell you his opinion in a second.
I'm happy you liked it. Let me just say, if you got something out of it, I'm truly happy. I'm truly from the bottom of my heart happy.
No, like I'm most respectful, but he's like, really, Resurrection?
It's just my uncle brought over a bunch of Halloween movies, and I think it was like the H2O Resurrection double pack. So I watched H2O, and I was just, oh my God, this is such a great Halloween movie. I loved H2O. What are they going to do after this? And I got Resurrection, and I was like, really?
I will tell you, I didn't like the beginning of Resurrection. I didn't like the beginning.
For me.
Jamie's so dirty. You did Jamie so dirty.
For me, that is the one redeeming quality I have with Resurrection, and for me, that's what the ending of H2O should have been. That's like my canon ending. I love the fact that after all of this, and yes, you're about to find out, dear, because I know you haven't seen them. At the end of H2O, Laurie beats Michael and cuts his head off. And then it's like, oh my God.
That was the moment I was telling you about.
Okay.
Michael is dead. Michael is finally dead. It's actually a really powerful scene because he's trapped between a van and a tree, and he's like reaching out for Lori.
Yes. And she does the thing that you want all horror movie characters to do, right? For a split second, she's got the axe in the hand. He's reaching for her, and for a second, she starts to slowly lower the axe, like she has compassion for him. And then she does the thing that you want her to do, and she just goes, ah! And just cuts his head off. And that, I feel like if I was in the theater when that was released, I can only imagine the energy of everyone being like, yeah!
And then resurrection happens, and you get a flashback sequence, and you find that when Michael was incapacitated after an earlier fight in H2O, that a paramedic goes up to Michael to check his vitals. Michael doesn't kill him. He breaks his his larynx.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So he can't talk. He switches costumes with him. So he puts the paramedic in his getup, and he walks out of the high school just as a paramedic. She kills the paramedic, and Michael escapes. She is traumatized by the event. She has to go to a mental hospital.
Yeah, because he was like a dad of like 4 kids or something.
Yeah, he's a dad, and like she thought it was Michael. Michael just walked away, and she
killed an innocent man.
In the mental hospital. She's not taking her pills. Her hair's wicked long. Like she's snapped. And one night Michael comes to visit. Kind of has Superman powers. I mean, he's kind of breaking through like security doors like they're a fucking screen door. I'm like, okay, Michael, like, do you? Of course, once again, Lori is waiting for Michael. They have this big fight on top of the insane asylum, and Michael kills her. I loved it. I loved the fact that after all of these movies, after all this time, he gets her, because you never see that. It's always the hero triumphs and evil is defeated. I like the fact, the one good thing that this director did was you let the bad guy win. The bad guy never wins. He's not supposed to win.
All right, touche on that one.
And once again, I liked how they did it. I liked how, they were both on the edge of the hospital. They were kind of clinging on.
He's holding her up with the knife, because he stabs her in the back, but he's holding her like you said, like Superman. This is his Lois Lane, and he's got her right here. And then she kisses him on the mask and says, "See you in hell," and he just lets her go.
And that's her. The final shot is her falling how many of her stories down.
Which that fall was kind of cheesy, let's be real.
It was 2002.
That's all. You could tell she was being lowered on something, because she's just like all slowly into the bushes.
Oh, 2002.
But I love that. To me, that is the official canon ending. No one has the guts to do that. Michael is probably going to die in Halloween Ends. I mean,
that would be crazy.
Is that the end of the franchise? No.
Well, for this particular trilogy, I'm sure in a couple years' time, there's going to be another Halloween doing something else.
You really think they would kill off Michael?
I think so.
The guy who could never die.
Yeah, exactly. That's your main thing. You can never kill the boogeyman.
I want him to live. I just feel like they're going to off Jamie Lee and Michael in the coming movies, and they're going to be like new characters, and the fans will be like. That
also makes sense, because Jamie Lee, I mean, she's not old by any means, but it is.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Like Loomis, she's probably getting tired.
Yeah, exactly. It makes sense in that kind of way. And the same thing happened with Scream, which we're not going to get into right now because I can go on a different rant. But it is.
But Donald Pleasance stuck with it. I mean, he was filming Halloween 6, and then I think it was like 3 or 4 months later he passed away. Like, he was
I
Dr.
feel like
Loomis
Jamie
till
Lee-
the very, very end.
Jamie Lee Curtis probably continue a bit more. She's pretty fit for her age. She's pretty up there.
She's a badass. I love
She
her.
really is.
Oh, she is for sure.
Like I've seen her lives, and she just seems first of all fun, but also when you see her, it's like all her workout regimen that she does, not only because of the movie, just in general. She's like, okay, you can continue a little longer, but we'll see.
Moving right along, you're next, my baby, the misunderstood step-headed red child, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Okay, can you appreciate that I didn't put it last?
I would completely understand and respect if you did put it last. I get why people don't like it. For me, I was thinking about it last night. For me, it's not a Halloween movie. It's simply Season of the Witch.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be part of the franchise. If it wasn't part of the franchise, I think it would have higher ratings. It is cheesy 80s at its finest, but I love cheesy 80s at its finest.
Yes.
What did you think of Season of the Witch?
So I'm going to preface what I'm about to say with the fact that I went into every Halloween movie completely blind, because I don't really, like I said, my boyfriend doesn't watch horror movies. I don't really have a lot of friends who watch horror movies. I've always been that oddball out in that sense. So there was nobody who told me anything about these movies, and I didn't try to research them. I was just, I'm going to watch the next one after the other. Typically after I watch the movie is when I like to go back online and see what was the critical reception of this movie. What did other people think? What are some of the critical analysis of this movie? So I usually do that afterwards. So with Season of the Witch, I had no idea that it was part of what they were originally going for with this sort of, and what was it? Analogy? Not analogy. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but where they do different horror stories.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. And so I didn't know that, other than that, there going to be no Michael Myers the whole time. I'm like, where is Michael? Where does he come into this? So I was a little off-put by that movie, but at the same time, it was interesting in itself, this idea of these creepy guys taking over Halloween, these creepy Irish guys, which I wonder if that has anything to do with, U.S. tensions with the Irish during that time period. I have yet to research that. Because I'm always looking for what was going on when this movie was released, because there's always some social, cultural commentary, even without us realizing. So they, produce all these masks to essentially take over all these kids on Halloween. And the masks are what I think the number one redeemable quality of that film. They are the most memorable. These three classic masks. You have the pumpkin, the witch, the skeleton. And the song, the Silver Shamrock song, is so catchy. Dylan, you had said at one point that you liked because this is just kind of about Halloween night and Halloween in itself versus Halloween the franchise. And I can agree with that statement too. So yes, the masks being one of the most memorable and redeemable qualities. And then with the creepy guys taking over and the whole Stonehenge thing, that was a little weird for me. The whole time, the main thing I kept thinking about when I was watching them, because they're all standing quietly off to the side in shades and suits, is if you've ever seen Charmed or Buffy the Vampire Slayer, they kind of reminded me of The Gentleman. Because that quiet episode where they just walk around in the suits, all creepy. And then in Charmed, there was, I forgot the name of what they were called. I wrote it on my Instagram, but essentially these other creepy dudes in business suits who would take knowledge from people. So the whole time I'm like, these are creepy business dudes.
What did you think of the main villain, Cochran?
He does a good job of being a creepy old man. He, believe it or not, kind of reminds me of my uncle. I'm always wary of older men with white hair in a business suit. I'm like, you're so creepy. I mean, that even in Stranger Things, the Max Brenner.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Guy, white hair, like in power of some big facility, producing something you shouldn't be.
Right there with you, girl. Right there with you.
Fun fact, we can show them to you after, but we actually own all three masks because
That's so cool.
I needed them in my life. I mean, I love this movie so much. It does its own thing. It is not ashamed of it. I liked how at one point I think he's in a bar and Halloween's on in the background. I'm like, you couldn't resist, could you?
Yeah, I remember that part as well. Yeah, we got the mask in Trick or Treat Studios, and we do have, as always, an IGTV like unboxing kind because we had to. I fell in love with them, and I didn't watch the movie. Like, we got the masks, and then I watched the movies, put it that way. And I'm like, that's so weird, because these are, like, supposed to, like, kill you, essentially, of course. But still, I adore the masks. We have to play around with them for now on Halloween or something or other, but we do have them, like, all nicely placed. And they're really made. They're very well made. Very true. And they have what you said, the little silver.
Yeah, the silver shamrock thing on the back.
Yes.
That's nice.
Which is really cool. That, you gotta admit, though, that is a little genius. That if you're going to take over Halloween, you put something in the mask that's going to trigger the kids. Like that part I kind of liked, the idea behind it.
But I mean, what about that ending? That ending for me is just one of the it's just a great ending. Like, that's how you end a horror movie.
I mean, it definitely has, like you were saying, the cheesy 80s horror movie ending. I would say too, one of the things that affected my view of this movie is the main character, the guy, the doctor.
Tom Atkins is his name.
Yes, he looks exactly like my best friend and his father combined. I was just like, oh my God, you're in this movie. You're in this movie. And I texted him a picture. I was like, this is you. And he goes, I think it looks more like my brother, but yeah, I see it. And I was like texting him throughout Season of the Witch, like, hey, you just hooked up with this chick. You're going to go fight this mask guy now. And he goes, am I succeeding? Like, he was playing along with me.
Kudos to your best friend.
I wish I had, like, a picture next to me. Actually, hold on. I'll pull it up on my phone while you guys are chit-chatting. I'll show you a picture of him.
The Tom Watkins, what's that?
Tom Atkins.
Atkins lookalike, basically.
Yeah, it looks just like him and his dad.
I enjoyed the movie. We already talked about this because we do have an episode of just the Season of the Witch by itself. So I did like the movie a lot. I was also like you. I was expecting Michael because I had no idea Michael wasn't in it. I'm like, when is Michael coming out? He's like, he's not in this one. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay. Very slow. What, like we said before as well, when it comes to like these kind of horror movies, very slow and classic. Oh, we get a picture.
You get the picture.
That's my best friend.
Okay.
I don't know if it's too overexposed, but like
I can see it.
I can see it.
I wish I had a picture of his dad, because especially his dad and his brother look so much like him. Okay, this is his brother.
I can see a little bit, yes.
A little bit.
I was going to be interested now. I was like, wait, does he really look alike? Does he not? We're going to have him like randomly on the post. Like, if you listen to this episode, this is what her best friend and her best friend's brother looks like. Please vote down below.
I'm going to have to text and be like, you had a special cameo.
Both of
them. So yes, Season of the Witch. All-time great horror movie. Love it, love it, love it. I don't care what the Halloween fans say. I love it. Now we're towards the end. Your next one, I believe, is Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers?
No, I moved that one.
You changed it.
Yes.
I changed it.
Okay, so you have Rob Zombie's Abominations over Halloween 6.
Yes, because I'll go more in depth in a minute. But Halloween 6, just there's so much.
It's a bold movie because
it is.
You never explain why, and they give you a whole reason why. Like, no one wants to know.
The implications are just so messed up on so many levels. So that's why Rob Zombie is going to go before that. And Rob Zombie definitely had a very interesting take, to say the least, starting from Rob's childhood and, showing him as like a 10 or 12-year-old kid, starting to be evil. He's starting to kill animals and his friends and then his family, and his family's a really shit situation. I mean, it definitely, if you having known what Rob Zombie's done in the past, I was like, this makes a lot of sense for Rob Zombie that he would do something like this. And it felt, there was so much of Sherry in both films. I was like, you like your girlfriend so much. You just tried to figure out any way to put Sherry on screen, honestly. Like, I know no one's going to really tell you that, but that's what you did. You were like, oh, Sherry, honey, get in the shot. And we'll have you as a ghost in the background.
I watched the making of 2007, the first Rob Zombie one, and he's talking about, it's like, I just think that, my wife will be, like, the perfect actress to play Michael's mother. I'm like, that's very, is she making you put her in, like, this movie, dude? I mean, is she in all his other movies? 'Cause I saw the first one. I never saw two. I never seen any of the Rob Zombie movies.
Yes. So, okay, she does a really good job, I think, up until the point where Michael, as a little kid, goes into the institution or whatever, and then she eventually kills herself because she is distraught over the fact that her son is a psychopath who killed his whole family and basically has lost his mind. He's not there anymore. So she's lost her baby and she kills herself. But she still has another little baby. And that's what we elaborate on in the second Rob Zombie film, which is Angel Myers. And she is in the second film. Like I said, she's a ghost, kind of. She's haunting Michael and basically telling him, like, you're running out of time and you have to find Angel so we can become a family again. It's weird. And I was like, this is just you trying to figure out a way to put Sherry in the movie.
I mean, I just remember seeing, like, a concept picture of, like, her, like, all in white with a white horse. I'm like, what are you? Is this, like, you trying to be artistic? Like,
Yeah. The white horse has to deal with a toy white horse that she gives little kid Michael when he's in the institution. And I can't remember why she gives it to him, but she's wanting him to get better. And so him seeing her in the white horse is supposed to be some sort of, like, I don't know, allegory for she's like the knight in shining armor come to save him and reunite him with his little sister.
Rob Zombie.
Oh, okay, that.
Yes. But Resurrection 2 does have a beautiful appearance by our favorite Jamie Lloyd, Daniel Harris.
The one redeeming quality that I actually was kind of sold me on it. I was like, oh, that's awesome that they're bringing her back. That is so cool. She's no longer a little kid. She's a young woman. Like, truth be told, I only got through not even an hour of the first Rob Zombie movie until I turned it off.
Yeah.
I could not stomach it. I cannot stomach. I don't like.
You don't like gory horror films?
It's not that I don't like gory. I think what really made me I was just so annoyed was how Michael escapes. In the original Halloween, Michael escapes because Michael, as Dr. Loomis said, he looked past the wall. He looked past me. And for 15 years, he plotted. They talk about this, I think, in one of the comics or whatever. But Dr. Loomis is like, Michael, I know you're faking it. Like, all the doctors and nurses think you're catatonic. I know you're not. I know you're just waiting.
Yeah.
You have not fooled me. And in the first Halloween movie, there's some type of breakout. You see patients everywhere. The audience is never told how it happens. But Michael stages a breakout to get at his sister, to kill his family, to finish what he started when he was 8 years old.
Yes.
That is storytelling. And in its purest form, it is pure horror. That's truly terrifying. That is how you tell a story. How does Michael escape in Rob Zombie's movie? Well, two pervert guards decide that they want to rape a young woman, but it isn't enough to do that. They decide to do it in the bedroom of a 6'5", 300-pound serial killer with the door wide open. And they are shocked when the 6-foot serial killer goes, mm-mm. And Michael just kind of looks out the door and is like, oh, well, I guess. laziness. It was lazy. It was
fucked up, to say the least.
It was very
like,
fucked
holy
up.
Crap.
I like feeling uncomfortable in horror movies. I like feeling scared in horror movies. That just made me uncomfortable for all the wrong reasons.
Yes.
Which
very, very
a
wrong.
very Rob Zombie thing to do. Now I haven't seen all of his movies. I have to go back and watch them against my will, but
good luck.
I know that he's a guy who's very much about gore and sex and drugs and all those things that stuff you don't want to talk or think about, and he's just, let me put it all on screen in the worst possible way.
You can put all that on screen though, but it's just the way he does it. It's just like,
yeah.
I don't mind cursing. I swear all the time. But his script, it's like every other word is like a vulgar. It's like, dude, okay. I say fuck too, but it's everything in moderation, as my grandmother says. I mean, it's just, I got past the rape scene 10 minutes and I was like, I'm done.
I will say I did like, in that same room itself, it's covered ceiling to floor in masks. So the whole time Michael's been in there since he was 10 or 12 is he has an obsession with making masks and covering his face and hiding behind it. I like that psychological aspect to Michael. And I don't know if you noticed this, but one of those guards in that scene and right before that is from Children of the Corn.
No shit.
Yeah, I immediately recognized him because his voice and his orange hair, that unmistakable nose. He's Malachi from Children of the Corn.
No way.
Yeah. And he, that's not the only guy too. He brought back a lot of people in the Resurrection movies. I think I might have made a list here of some of them because I just kept writing them down. There were so many people making cameos that I was like, oh my gosh, how are this many people in this movie? I don't know where I put the list, but I was excited. Oh, there it is. Let's see. You have Brad Dourif. That was the biggest one. Brad Dourif is the voice of Chucky in all the Chucky movies and continuing. He's the sheriff in Resurrection. And the dad he's the dad of Daniel Harris in the films. So she's the sheriff's daughter. So he's in both films, Rob Zombie's first and second. I was like, oh my God, it's Chucky. You got Chucky. Chucky is in this film. You also have, Dee Wallace. She has a crazy amount of acting credits. You might know her from Cujo. That's one of her biggest ones.
Okay.
She plays, I forget who she plays in the film. Dee Wallace, I want to say she plays a mom in one of the scenes. And then you also have, let's see here, Pat Skipper, which is mostly exciting to me as a Charmed fan because Daniel Harris, I originally knew before I ever watched any of the Halloween movies. She plays Aviva on an episode of Charmed. And so when I saw Halloween 4 for the first time, I was like, I know that face. I know that face. I know that voice. I'm one of those IMDb obsessed people, like where I look at someone, I immediately know who you are just from your face or your voice, and I know all of your acting credits. And so Daniel Harris and Pat Skipper were both on Charmed. Pat Skipper plays Angel Myers, quote unquote, dad, and he played Nathaniel Pratt on an episode of Charmed, which is like this older guy who essentially starts the Salem witch trials over again in the present day.
That's cool.
Yeah, so those were, I like have a whole list because I was like every person appearing in the Rob Zombie films. I was excited over that, but Rob Zombie films overall were just... And I want to take a minute while we're still on these films to talk about the actress who played Angel Myers. Because one of the reasons I don't like these films, particularly the first one, is the acting just felt so exaggerated and over the top. I can't think of a better way to describe it. Like, that's not how teenagers act. Like, even your nerdiest teenager, there's a scene where she's, a beginning scene where she's in the kitchen with her mom, and she just starts saying very vulgar things and doing things with a donut and I think her finger or a hot dog, and she's pretending, but I'm like, you're supposed to be the quiet, nerdy Laurie Strode, essentially. This is very far off from that. Yeah. Every scene with her, she's screaming. Like, it's an excited scream, but I'm like, this is not how teenagers act. You are so annoying. And, but I think when we get to Rob Zombie's second film, Halloween 2 for him, she's kind of off the rails over what Michael has done to her, and then finding out about who she is. And for some reason, I think her acting is better in the second film, because I think that vein of acting suited her more, maybe as an actress. Being a wild child, kind of unhinged and vulgar, that seemed to fit her more. So it felt better, it didn't feel over the top. This felt more accurate in this second film.
Okay. I mean, I don't think I'll ever see it. I saw, I think it was, I don't know if it was a meme or a comment, but someone brought up the fact that Rob Zombie decided, hey, I'm going to make Michael speak. And I'm like,
yes, I hated that. Well, I hated that. And not just that.
Do you not understand this franchise?
He made Michael, too, in the second film. This annoyed me, too. Not only does he speak, he shows his face for a good portion of the film. He's like an older dude, 6 foot tall, beard, in like a big old jacket. And he's wandering around fields for most of the movie with Ghost Sherry not far behind him. And I'm like, what is the point of this? Where is Mike? What? He would have been in Haddonfield already. He would have, what? And then the end of the film, do you want me to tell you or do you want to watch it?
Go for it.
Okay. The end of the film is essentially he finally he kills Danielle Harris, first of all. She's dead. She's done for. He completely butchers her in the bathroom. And then he kidnaps Angel Myers. They're in some random shed, where he doesn't just see the ghost of Sherry throughout the film. He also sees the ghost of child him. So the ghost of child him is there holding Angel, and ghost Sherry's there, and he's there, and there's helicopters overhead because they know he's in this shed, and there's cops surrounding the shed, and they're telling him he has to come out, and we've got you surrounded, and like eventually, I can't remember what happens, but like he goes flying out of the shed, they shoot him, he falls to the ground, Angel walks out, and I don't know exactly what happened, but I guess she's becoming him, or she's realized this is her family now, and she goes to pick up his knife, and then they all shoot her. And that's pretty much the end of the film. It's very, you're just like, what?
Exactly.
What?
Does he die?
Quote unquote die. Okay, because then it gets weirder. Because then it turns out Angel lived, and they show her in like down a long white hallway, sitting on a white bed, like she's in a hospital, but at the same time it's like this such a long hallway, you're not sure if this is a dream or not. And then she looks up and she sees Ghost Sherry with the white horse, and she smiles. Kind of like the end of Psycho, where he looks up and smiles.
Yeah.
Very similar thing. And that's it. That's the official end. And you're just left wondering what the hell happened.
Exactly.
I think it was a couple months ago I saw an article, and it was like Rob Zombie was like trying to blame the producers for his movies. I'm like, don't you dare. Blame yourself and your shit writing. I don't agree with what he was trying to do, but you know, one thing that he was really trying to hammer home in the first one that I remember is that Michael isn't evil. He's a psychopath. And I remember like Dr. Loomis saying, he's a psychopath. He's a psychopath. The end of the movie, I think I YouTubed it. He gets shot point blank in the head with a revolver, and he lives. And then after everything you just told me, I'm like, well, what happened to the whole psychopath thing? And he's not a force of nature. He's not evil. Oh, no. Now we're bringing it in.
Yep.
Have some consistency, dude. I mean, I don't agree with making Michael a psychopath, but if you're going to go down that route, go down it and stick with it. Don't change and be like, oh, he's actually immortal like he was before.
For sure. I 100% understand if you're trying to make another Halloween movie to add to the franchise, that part of your thought process might be, well, let's explore Michael's mind. You know, let's figure out why he is the way he is. But the whole point from the very beginning movie in 1978, where he's 6 years old, is that he's evil. That's the thing. And he's the boogeyman and he can't die. Those are the top three things there. You don't need to explain it further. All right, this is why, and I remember having a conversation with somebody else on my post about this, about how when you think of Michael Myers, you immediately associate him with Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger.
Mhm.
These are supernatural beings, serial killers, right? They cannot die, they're way up there. You don't put him down here with Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy, because he's not an average dude. So trying to explain, you know, the whole, he's a psychopath, his inner workings of his mind, and this is why he is the way he is, it's a totally different thing from what he's supposed to be. He's not supposed to have a traumatic childhood that made him into an evil dude and a loving mom, and he was nice sometimes. Like, you don't need to say those things.
Exactly. Like, those things don't. Rob Zombie just annoyed me so much.
So we gotta pull it back now because we talked about a lot about Rob Zombie.
But and I understand because we're about to talk about it, that why you would have Halloween 6 at the bottom. But,
This all segues into that, the idea behind explaining Michael and what he is.
I think the Cult of Thorn was a better explanation than Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie, like you said, and I've talked to people who actually watch his movies, because I won't. He creates kind of like the same world. Like, everyone's just like this horrible human being. Like everyone is like a pervert or a weirdo. And you're like kind of pulling for Michael. It's like, no, these are all schmucks. Go at him, Michael. Like, have fun. I just thought Cult of Thorn, it was bold. It was very, very bold for what they did, because you.
Oh my God, the levels of boldness! Like, I can see. I'm in reverse of what you feel. Where if I had to choose an explanation between Rob Zombie and the Cult of Thorn, I like the thought of him having a traumatic childhood that made him psycho, versus there's this cult that made sure he was born on a certain day under the Cult of Thorn in the sky, and this is why he's evil, and he has to make more evil babies. Like, it's too much. Like,
not saying it's my favorite story arc by any means, but I think it was also the performance of the Michael mask. You had Paul Rudd in there. I think also it was like the characters and like everything that was laid out for you. I thought it was like a fun story. I mean, the whole cult thing was weird. I will give you that. Another old man, another white-haired old man in a suit, like trying to.
Yeah, and I don't like the fact that there's this dude controlling Michael. Like,
that was weird.
Michael's supposed to be a standalone evil guy on his own. The fact that someone can kind of control him like a puppet, that felt like the total opposite of what Michael is. It felt like doing him dirty compared to all the other movies. And then we have a Jamie again. It's a different actress. The timeline does not make sense in age here, and there's no explanation for it. And she has a baby, and she's trying to get away from Michael. And then it turns out, this is my biggest gripe with this film, that the cult made Michael rape her, and that's his son or daughter or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, why? Since when can Michael have sex? Okay, since when is Michael a horny dude? Like, what? And his niece? Come on. No. And then the rocks, the Paul Rudd is like, oh, you gotta use the runes to make sure that you're protected from Michael, and he places runes on the floor, and Michael can't cross them. I can't. I can't.
It has its flaws. It's not in my top echelon. I'm just saying, for what it is, I thought when you kind of get away from the Cult of Thorn, I think there's some.
Here.
I just can't. No, thank you.
I think Michael had some really good chase scenes. I think, like him chasing Paul Rudd. I thought it was a really good-looking Michael. I thought it was a great-looking mask.
Oh,
What do you feel about his killing style in this film? Because it's different, in my opinion, than his regular killing style.
Well, he kills the mom with, what was it, a scythe?
Mm-hmm. And then the guy, the biggest one I remember is the radio host.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't just kill him, but he like wraps him in Christmas lights and sticks him up in a tree. And I'm like, since when does Michael just like actually go all out in doing something like that, especially with tons of people around? Because it's right next to the carnival.
Mm-hmm.
Michael just likes to just stab you and walk away. Like that was one of the things I loved about Halloween 4 was he actually has a gun at one point and he stabs people with the gun. Like Michael is just a stab dude, full through and through.
He had a 12 gauge shotgun, and it zooms in on the barrel. I'm like, is he about to shoot her? And no, he stabs that girl with a shotgun. Michael.
Yes, but in Cult of Thorn, he is more elaborate in how he kills people, and you're like, it doesn't feel quite like you. He sticks the lady in the wash machine. After he kills her, he cuts her up and he sticks her in there with the clothes, and then he runs it. What?
And it's still better than Rob Zombie's movies.
Oh, I think they're just tied for last place.
Yeah, they're definitely
just
all in
tied.
last place. And then like
I don't know. I have 6 above Resurrection.
I have to put 6. It's mostly for the raping Jamie and having a kid and being controlled. And also because in 6, I felt like with the writing of the movie, if you feel, remember what I said, I love continuity
mm-hmm.
and logicalness. And if you feel like your characters need to announce what's going on for the audience to understand, then the writing is bad. So like, there's a scene where the other Strode girl jumps out the window and then it goes black. And then, because it turns out Cult of Thorn was in the house and they kidnap everyone, and then all of a sudden it goes to a shot of like Paul Rudd and Loomis standing over the glass outside, and they're looking at it, and Paul Rudd goes, I think we must have been drugged. And Mr. Loomis says, you're right, or something like that. Like, trying to explain what the hell happened. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? So yeah, 6, I have to put 6 in last place for me.
I understand. I have Rob Zombies and Resurrections as my true abominations, but I don't know. I thought there were some cool kills, and you got Paul Rudd in the Halloween movie. I mean, come on.
Yeah, Paul Rudd I love Paul Rudd. And I did like the idea, the concept of Tommy having, the storyline of Tommy having become obsessed with what happened on Halloween night with Laurie in the first film. And also, like, stalking Michael in the newspapers all this time. Like, that was something you wouldn't normally think of, because no one thought of anything past Tommy, past 1978. So that, I like that little spin, if anything.
One quick fun side note, I was watching an interview with Daniel Harris, and the actress who played Jamie in Halloween 6, and Daniel Harris, I think, wanted a certain rate or whatever, and the studio said, screw you, we're not paying you. Like they lowballed her completely, and she's like, I was the star in 2 of these movies, and they just had, an accountant talking to her like, no, this is what you're going to make. And she said, well, I'm not doing it. The actress who, was in it for 10 minutes or whatever as Jamie got so much hate. Like an unnecessary amounts of hate from Halloween fans. And she's like, I wish I never took the job. I mean, I was only in it for 10 minutes, but everyone wanted you. Like, because her and Daniel eventually talked.
Yeah.
And Daniel's like, I'm sorry. Like, they lowballed me.
That makes me wonder then what Rob Zombie did for her to convince her to come back on for his films. That's something I'll have to look into.
But yeah.
And she's got more horror movies. She kind of, I looked at her IMDb because I was curious, and she kind of stuck with the horror genre.
Mhm.
Lots of films most people wouldn't know, like lots of B horror movies it looks like, but at the same time she's a bit of a scream queen herself, and she's got a new one coming out next year, some sort of scarecrow horror movie.
Ooh,
I don't
nice.
know if it's going to be a big preview production, if we'll see the previews, or if it's going to be one of those ones that's, straight to DVD, but I am curious to see a modern day horror film with her now, see how she's doing.
Yeah, I've seen her dressed up as like the original clown costume and everything. Like, she's loyal to the franchise that's been loyal to her. I mean, the fans love her. She's a total Halloween nerd. I would love to meet her when COVID is gone. I'd love to meet her at a convention or whatever.
Right? Oh my gosh.
She's so cool.
I would totally be down after COVID if you guys were like, Sam, we want to go to a local horror movie convention or like a horror thing. I'll be like, I will go with you because I don't have anyone to go with. So
We have new friends. Do not worry about that, girl.
It's happening.
We're taking you under our wing.
I want to meet Elvira while she's still doing stuff.
Oh my god, yes. Oh, you have a shirt.
All things Elvira. I have my Elvira sweatpants on.
As she climbs on top of the chair so we can see her. Oh my god, it's
Nice.
awesome. I love that outfit so much. Before we get to the Halloween questions, in other words, Halloween the holiday, not the franchise, have you both talked everything you need to talk and get it out of your system about the franchise before
I feel like I've ranted as much as I possibly could.
At least for this episode, I think
Yes.
so.
Just-
It's been a while.
I mean, despite some of its flaws, it's my favorite horror series of all time. There's some of my favorite movies of all time. Michael, when people say Jason is better, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't understand that at all. I think they just like the hockey mask and the machete. It's just, I don't know. Halloween is just, for me, it really is just perfect. And that's a bold word to use, but you know what? Even at its lowest points, and it does get pretty low, I do love it. It's just
It's still up there. I still need to watch all of the Friday the 13th films because I definitely want to see the whole Jason in Manhattan. I'm curious about that, living in New York City, and I think that's going to be very weird, and see how I feel about that. But
I feel like
I
we're
do
going to have
agree.
you back on to talk about Jason, maybe even Scream, because you mentioned Scream a couple of times. We have
Scream is
watched
my
it.
favorite horror
And
movie of all time.
really
Yes. And number 2 is Cabin in the Woods.
Okay.
Interesting.
And part of why is because I like horror movies that comment on horror movies. I like the layers, the details.
Same. We gotta talk Scream as well. We do have an episode talking between me and him about Scream because I just watched it for the first time this year because I'm just getting into horror because
Okay.
I'm scared. I get scared very easily in that kind of sense. So with Scream, I actually really, really enjoyed it. But once again, different episode, different moment. But we'll definitely talk behind the scenes
Yeah.
about more stuff because I feel like I like this conversation a whole lot, and then we can have a lot of points.
Absolutely.
All right. So are we ready for some Halloween, the holiday
Yes.
Yes.
questions? All right.
Always.
They're kind of fun lightning round ones. You don't have to really go into detail, especially because, we've been talking for a while.
True.
So, there you go.
All right.
It's okay. We love our technical difficulties. It's 2020. We just embrace whatever life gives us, basically. All right. So ready for the first one?
Yes.
Yes.
If you were to wear one Halloween costume for the rest of your life, what would it be?
A witch.
I said the same thing. I was like, a witch, obviously. You?
Michael.
Of course. He got his Michael costume, like I said earlier this episode, last year for the first time since when we moved back, and that's the first thing on his list. We moved back last summer from Spain to here, and he's like, oh my god, Michael. So yeah, definitely Michael for the one.
I feel like I should tell you, in the little promotional picture of me wearing the Michael suit that you see, that blue suit, that's a New York City sanitation suit to stay warm in the winter. My boyfriend has one, and I put it on.
Nice.
Like,
That's
we have
awesome.
a Michael costume.
Exactly. We went tell her and our audience, like, where'd you got the
Oh, we have like this farm store, for lack of a better term, down the street, and I got my coveralls. I tried all them on, got a pair that fit. Checking out, and the guy just looks at me. He's like, Michael Myers. Yeah.
like it's not a cheesy one went down. Like, we're gonna invest in this. Actually, the mask was pretty cool. The mask is from where? From
Trick or Treat Studios.
Trick or Treat Studios. And the coveralls from like the farm store down the street were like, this is it. This is, let's not do cheesy. Let's do it right. In a zombie apocalypse, what would be the weapon of your choice?
Bow and arrow.
Nice.
Because it's long distance range. And you can do it quietly without attracting noise.
I love how unique your answers are. I'm just in love with your personality, I swear.
Don't you love that I already immediately
yes,
like,
exactly. Like, you did not hear the questions beforehand. Do you have an answer, Dylan, really quickly?
If I had ammo, I'd want a gun.
Okay.
Like a shotgun or something.
All right. Shotgun. Do you prefer gore or thrillers?
Thriller.
Okay.
Mess with my mind.
Exactly.
How old were you when you first saw your first horror movie?
4.
Oh wow. I think
yeah.
you beat Dylan. Did you beat Dylan? I think
yeah,
so.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And what was it?
I was 4. How old were you?
I was like 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah. My father kind of let us watch horror movies when we weren't supposed to. And then as we grew up, it was mostly my mom and my sister and I. And my sister and I kind of became obsessed with horror, all things horror related. And she would make us, we would go to the video store and we would have to pick out one horror movie together, my sister and I. And we even, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I think you'll think it's very cool, is my family actually had a helping hand in making the movie The Ring.
Really?
Wow.
Yes. So if you rewatch it anytime soon, because I grew up on Whidbey Island in Washington State, and my family lived on the northern end of the island with lots of field and property, and the director of the film came to my mom and my grandmother, and he's like, hey, we're going to have this shot. We're wondering if we can lift off and land our helicopter in your field and have our crew here. And my mom was like, hell yeah. And she got a picture with the director in front of the helicopter, and she got a ring crew pass, which I still have. But so if you watch the film, there's a scene where she's going to the ferry, and she goes over a bridge, and the camera kind of pans around that. That's Deception Pass Bridge. That's 2 miles from where I grew up.
Wow.
That is incredible. That's an incredible fun fact.
Oh, yeah. And
Thank you so much for sharing.
my mother, only horror movie she ever watched with us because she hates horror films. And I, look at me, long dark hair, very pale skin. I scared the crap out of her a few times after that film.
Yeah, yes, I could not watch that film. Hence why, I can watch Scream. I'm starting to get to Michael, not all of them. But do not get me The Ring. Do not get me into what's the the Poltergeist or the Nun or whatever. No. So I understand your mom. But kudos, though. Kudos for watching that one. Oh my god. That's so cool. What was your first movie, though? You didn't say. When you
Hell Night with Linda Blair, 1981.
Wow. And you were still?
Friday the 13th, Part 3.
Okay.
All right. Do you remember your first Halloween costume?
Pumpkin.
Oh, so cute.
At my very first year as a baby, my mom dressed me as a pumpkin.
So
I feel like you are our future child, all horror and just dressing her up. I swear.
Yep.
Pretty much, yeah. Do you remember yours? I don't remember.
I don't remember my first one, but my earliest memory, I think, when I was ghost-faced. That was in elementary school. I couldn't bring the knife to school.
That makes sense.
Exactly. Go on. Oh, I love this one. If you could choose, or you could have, a spooky Halloween pet, black cat, owl, bat, rat, wolf, etc., what would you pick?
I'm Black Cat because I already have it.
I would think the same, but I think I know Dylan's answer.
I love my black cat, but I want an owl.
I knew you were going to say owl.
I've always loved owls. I would love an owl. Just
if I had to pick other than my cat, I would pick a wolf.
Yeah, it was between those two. I love the wolf and the owl as well because we both you and me or us in general, we do have black cats and they're amazing. The owl, I mean, that's a lot of Harry Potter fan right there. Kind of like for me, not for you.
Hipster answer. I liked owls before Harry Potter.
Oh, of course.
Do you ever read Poppy and Rye?
What I loved.
Never heard of it.
No, me neither.
Elementary school book, but yeah, the big boss bad guy was this big owl in the forest, Mr. Okax. He actually kills one of the leading characters, who was a mouse.
It's a kid's book. Okay. I like Owl from Winnie the Pooh because I like Winnie the Pooh. So.
Such a windbag. I love him.
He's so cute. All right. Favorite horror of Halloween theme song?
Favorite horror theme song?
Yeah.
Is this like any Halloween theme song or like theme like Michal Myers Halloween type theme?
Anything that you can think of when it comes to Halloween or horror theme songs. So anything from like the Ghostbusters, for example, to the Michael Myers one, to like the Jason one, to Monster Mash, to the Addams Family. Oh, I love the Addams Family. The Addams Family.
I'm gonna put it as a tie between Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street, because Halloween is like to the horror genre what Jaws is to other films. That just few notes.
Yep.
And it's so memorable. Do, 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 do. And then Elm Street's kind of a slower pace, but you remember it. So
okay,
I'm gonna put those two up there.
I mean, I'd probably have a tie Addams Family and Halloween, because Addams Family's just
so catchy as well.
So catchy.
So nice. Favorite horror monster or villain?
Ooh, I have a complicated answer for this one.
Tell me.
So, okay. It's not just my favorite, but would be what gets me fear-wise. Because, fear is relative. Everyone's is different. That's what's unique about the horror genre. So we're all afraid of different things. This is part of why I love the horror genre. But when I was in college, I took a class in the theater department called Monster Theory. And it was my favorite class I've ever taken. It was so amazing. And I learned so much about myself because there was a part at the end of the class where we had to write a 30-page essay on what monster that scares us, right? And I'm like, I've been watching horror movies since I was 4. There's no monster that scares me. Everyone's, picking clown, vampire, werewolf, blah, blah, blah. So it took me a while to I had to go inward and really think of myself and what scares me. Like, I was thinking of horror movies from when I was a kid. I was like, what scared me as a kid? Well, The Ring, right? And The Ring is a little girl who, and then you have The Grudge was up there as a kid. There's this, one of the things that's scared me the most, it's not they made it a full film, but it's a horror movie short. It's on YouTube, and it's called Mama. The short is far scarier than the movie that they produced after it. Even though it was produced by Guillermo del Toro, the short is scarier. And they all have one thing in common. They're all women, right? They're all women monsters. And the biggest thing about them is essentially that they become a monster because they either aren't loved by somebody or want to love somebody and they can't. It all kind of centers around that. And so I approached my professor and I'm like, this is what I've come up with. What am I writing about here? And he goes, well, I want you to know I have a PhD and you just gave me a whole new perspective on banshees. You're afraid of banshees. The pain, the woman pain, the howling in the night, that is, or like kind of the lady in white, that's you. That's what you're afraid of. So I wrote an entire paper about those type of women in horror and starting with banshees moving forward. And I made the title of the essay, Mother is Not Feeling Herself Today. And I got an A++ on it.
Nice.
Yes. So if you were to ask me what horror character monster is up there for me, that's what it essentially is a banshee.
Yeah, that's very deep, and I love that answer. And you and me have definitely loads to talk about at some point of life. Without realizing, because I felt that. I was like so intrigued by what you're gonna say, and I'm like, I understand her so well. Okay. All right. How do you top that one? I don't know.
I can't.
You haven't wrote a 30-page essay.
I did do a 10-page paper on the Joker,
Okay.
but I'm not afraid of the Joker.
But
I
you're
love
not,
the
yeah,
Joker.
exactly. Well, no, this is not afraid. This is favorite horror monster or villain.
But yeah, obviously it'd be Michael. But now I'm kind of. I'll get back to you on actually what actually
We'll
scares
get back
me.
to you.
Yeah.
All right.
Introspection.
Yeah,
Right?
it does. It really does. And for last for this little lightning round, what's your favorite part about Halloween?
The holiday?
Yes.
Okay. I think my favorite part about Halloween is the costumes. I love getting creative with the costumes and coming up with different things and decorating.
You have really amazing costumes. Because you and me have talked about your costumes as well.
And you haven't even seen the best of it yet. It's going to be coming out between this week and next week. I have so much work to do. So much painting.
and I'm so excited to see what it is and how it turns out. Oh my god. I agree with you. I think the costumes are just the best fun. We got our costumes. Well, I got a new costume that you guys are gonna see today, post at some point of today. We got it in September. It's from Spirit Halloween, and I freaking loved it so much. And I just like wear them randomly. Like we just have random photo shoots and kind of just like get the whole mood and the whole vibe going. So it's not just like I don't only wear it on Halloween. I wear it like around the year as well if I can. When I can. Your favorite thing about Halloween, Dylan?
I love autumn, and you have autumn. You have that mixed with everything like horror and pumpkins, and it's always been my favorite. I remember I was in first grade, and everyone was asked what their favorite holiday was, and out of like 25 kids, 24 said Christmas because you get presents. And I'm like, I like Halloween. And everyone looked at me like I had 10 heads. And I was like, I like Halloween. Like,
that's the thing about Halloween is yes, we love the spirit of giving that comes with Christmas. We love the miracles of Christmas. But with Halloween, you're not worrying about buying things for other people. You're dressing up as whatever you want. You get to go out and get candy from different houses that are decorated. There's more fun to it that you don't have to worry about anybody else, really.
I think you live the holiday a little bit differently because I'm not saying like it's longer than Christmas, but Christmas, I don't know how to explain it. Like here we have more activities. Like we do the pumpkin carving and then, COVID aside, we go to the corn mazes and pumpkin patch and all these sorts of things, plus the weather, at least where we live, of course, right now it's still very enjoyable, whereas in winter it isn't. I mean, I know it's much like horror, it depends with different people, like where we live, I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we also have better treats. Caramel apples.
Making some today.
Yeah.
Like apple cider and all these sorts of things. So, yeah, I understand the sentiment. All right, so we've talked to you for a ridiculous long time, but it is a special Halloween.
I've enjoyed it. I love that we have like so much to talk about. We just keep bouncing off each other. I love
exactly.
That.
We're bringing you back for sure. Some way, somehow, we'll talk a lot behind the scenes and just figure it out. Plus, you also gave us questions for the Hocus Pocus Halloween one. So, we're so happy that you also participate in all the stuff that we do and our giveaways as well. Oh, we have to do the giveaway before we finish. So the last two questions that we're going to ask you is describe Halloween in 3 words.
The holiday or the franchise?
The holiday.
The holiday? Ooh, best holiday ever.
Enough said, exactly. And favorite Halloween candy?
Reese's. I love Reese's. All things Reese's.
A lot of people say Reese's when we ask them.
Reese's.
I don't like Reese's.
She doesn't like peanut butter and chocolate. She doesn't like the most delicious combination.
I like chocolate. I don't like peanut butter.
I love Reese's. I want Reese's now.
We'll get some. We'll definitely get some Reese's today. I want 3 Musketeers and Kit Kats.
We're going to CVS.
Exactly, or anywhere.
I have a big bag of Halloween candy in my fridge, plus a box my mom sent me. Every year she sends me candy in the mail.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I'm the only kid out of all her kids who loves Halloween. I'm special.
Exactly, special treatment, please. All right, so our next giveaway, before we forget, so I told you, right at the end of the episode, next month, starting tomorrow, basically, no, really, starting next Friday in general, November is our King month. So every Friday we have different guests, and we talk all things King because Dylan loves King, and everyone who loves horror usually loves King. So we got really cool stuff happening there.
He is my Lord and Savior.
Hence our handle being King Myers. And our next giveaway, stay tuned for post next week because this is when you can participate for our next giveaway. So if you heard yesterday's episode, Dylan talking about the 1978 franchise itself, and this one right here, you get 13 extra entries to win the Tommy Knockers.
The Tommy Knockers.
Thank you very much. So that's our next prize right there. Other than that, Sammy's So Spooky. That's exactly where we can find you, of course. We'll drop all those links down below, and also your shirt, and also so they can see where it is, because I want the same one.
I want it.
I know, as soon as we saw the picture, we're gonna order this. Thanks to you.
They had a cool purple and orange Michael Myers one too, with other stuff on it. This one is Scream right here, but there was another one with Michael, and I wanted that one so bad too, but that one was sold out when I went and looked last.
Oh, okay. We have to be super on top of it, without a doubt. Even though I do love Scream, we watched Scream this year, and I went directly and I bought 2 shirts from Scream. That's how much I loved it. So I was like, we gotta talk.
Catty Colors, by the way.
Yes.
Catty Colors. You've probably seen me talk about them constantly on my Instagram. And that's where my sweatpants are from, my Elvira sweatpants. All things Catty Colors are amazing.
That's great. I don't think we've ordered them just yet, but we will. I think that's on the list, on the Christmas list, because it's almost there.
Yes.
Anyways.
Yes.
So happy Halloween. Thank you so much for being here, Sam. Thank you so much for listening to this long rant of
Thank you
Halloween,
for having me. Happy Halloween to you guys too.
Thank you so
It's
much.
our holiday, guys.
Yes, exactly. We'll celebrate. Oh, I love it. I can't wait to put my costume on today.
And to all of our viewers, just Ham So Spooky, please keep your jack-o'-lanterns lit tonight.
Because of Trick or Treat and Sam, of course. Keep them up all the way till tomorrow. All right, so see you next week. Bye.
See you guys.